All right, let's start with the big story that we are tracking this morning. It's been a successful launch for what can be billed as the world's most powerful rocket built ever. Now, Tesla's SpaceX has blasted off the Falcon Heavy in its debut test launch. The 23-storied tall Falcon Heavy took off carrying a cherry red Tesla Roadster automobile into space as a mock payload from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral. This happened roughly at about 3:45 p.m. local time in Florida on the eastern coast of the United States. It launched from the same site used by NASA's towering Saturn V rockets to carry Apollo missions to the moon more than 40 years ago. The launch has unleashed another never-seen-before achievement. 2.5 minutes after the launch, the two side boosters successfully separated from the center main stage rocket and flew back to the Earth for safe simultaneous touchdowns. The third center booster was supposed to land on a seafaring platform, but it wasn't immediately clear if that landing was successful. While the exact trajectory of the operation is unknown, the Roadster is to be sent into a virtually indefinite solar orbit on a path taking it as far from the Earth as Mars. The rocket was last known to be over Australia. And also what's interesting is what was on board the Falcon Heavy. Well, for starters, there is a $100,000 cherry red car that belongs to SpaceX founder and billionaire Elon Musk. Now, there's also a space-suited mannequin in the car's driver's seat, a sign on the dashboard that reads, "Don't panic," and blaring on repeat is David Bowie's song Space Oddity. Cameras that show the Roadster headed deep into space. These are some of the little tidbits that have been put as a mock payload in this rocket. So what makes the Falcon Heavy so powerful? Well, it's propelled by 27 rocket engines. It packs more than 5 million pounds of thrust at launch. It is designed to place up to 70 tons into the standard low Earth orbit. The NASA has congratulated SpaceX, which, remember, is a private company, not something that's sponsored by the government, but completely a private company, for the accomplishment. It has tweeted, and I quote, "Congratulations, SpaceX." Acting Administrator Lightfoot says, "All of us in this business know the effort that it takes to get to a first flight and recognize the tremendous accomplishment that we have witnessed today." And also WION's correspondent Steve Mott brings us a report from Florida as to how the Falcon Heavy took off.
Yes, after a delay to its initial start time, the Falcon Heavy rocket blasted off from Kennedy Space Center just behind me. Loud cheers from the thousands of people gathered along the Space Coast, they call it here in Florida, to watch the spectacle. The world's most powerful operational rocket, essentially 3 of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets, essentially strapped together, 27 engines in all, with about 5 million pounds of thrust. And that's a lot of explosives. It means there's a lot of potential for things to go wrong. But in the end, things went right for Elon Musk and his SpaceX company. The rocket was launched. The red cherry Tesla ejected into a heliospheric orbit around the sun, just a little bit further out from the sun than the orbit of Mars. This is an important launch for SpaceX because it means they now have a technology that is proven to a certain extent. This is the first of several of these test launches, but they're hoping that the Falcon Heavy will be one of the pieces of technology that the US government will be able to use to put much heavier payloads into orbit. For example, the US military has stated some interest in putting satellites up using the Falcon Heavy rocket technology. It's also part of Elon Musk's plans to put humans back into space. SpaceX has a contract with NASA to put future human missions into low Earth orbit, but Elon Musk himself has expressed an interest in colonizing Mars, for example, and he'll need a very big rocket to get human beings both to the moon and then on further into the solar system. So all in all, a very big day for space here, certainly the most significant launch from this part of the United States since the Space Shuttle, which was retired a number of years ago. All eyes will be on the next SpaceX launch and how that goes.